Welcome to the Nowhere Near Home podcast. What's up? It's your host, Mr. It Doesn't Even Matter, also known as Who Really Gives a Damn. This is the first episode to an idea that I had many years ago. The whole concept to my idea was that I was podcasting while walking through Alameda, therefore I was nowhere near home, which looking back was a horrible idea, because Alameda is a very windy place, and I didn't even have a microphone. So it was essentially me ranting out loud like a muffled crackhead while walking through the quiet and windy streets of Alameda. I decided to keep the name Nowhere Near Home because I feel like it's still a well-fitting name for the point of my life that I'm currently at. I'm mentally nowhere near home. To me, home means stability, and I am currently feeling very unstable. Yes, life is full of uncertainty, but my brain can't seem to comprehend why. And in reality, no one knows why. My biggest problem, I think, is that I want answers to questions that can't be answered. The reason why there's no definitive answer is because everyone has their own answer. And one answer doesn't fit all, because we are all on our own journey in this weird thing we call life. And in reality, even those answers mean nothing in the end. Someone can give you the answer that made it so clear to them as to what they are going to do with the rest of their lives, and it wouldn't even matter to you. You'd most likely try to apply the same answer to your life and end up in a mental hell. Because if you fail, now you not only have no answer to your life, but you also have the reminder that someone in your life has the answer and it didn't fit within yours. Which isn't bad. Unless you have a brain like mine, it'll say things like, why'd you even try in the first place? You're not smart enough to do that. The person that gave you the answer to their life hates you because your attempt to a new lifestyle was futile. But what I've learned is that even those with an answer are yet to become comfortable. Those with an answer see the answer as a hypothesis that constantly changes. It's also all about context and points of life. Sometimes you receive a nugget of information that you say, oh yeah, I knew that. But in the end, you don't fully comprehend it. You can understand something, but not fully grasp it till years later. One thing I've always heard and kind of just said, yeah, I get that, is when people say, nobody cares. I used to hear someone say, nobody cares, and in the back of my head I'd say, I care, so there must be more people that care as well. But in reality, no one cares. No one cares about your feelings. No one cares about what you're going through. No one cares about what music you listen to. And the list goes on and on about what people don't give a fuck about. I personally tend to overly give a fuck about everything. I remember in college, I had a crush on a girl. We would talk a lot in class, and in the mornings before I caught an Uber to school, I'd have a panic attack. Because I'd try to make the best looking outfit, just so this girl would find me attractive. But I was fatter, and I was the same level of ugly, or uglier. 'Cause sadly, ugly don't change. Anyways, in the end it didn't mean shit. A simple outfit change isn't going to have a girl drooling over you. But my head told me it was worth a shot and it was worth worrying a lot about. I also remember finally asking her out. It was the last day of the class that I had with her, and I decided that I'd tell her as she walked to her car about how I felt about her. And I remember the exact words that I used, because they make me cringe to this day. So I tap on her shoulder, and the conversation gets instantly weird, because she jokingly says, oh, I didn't notice anyone following me to my car. To which I laughed to and said, look, insert name here, I think you're a cool ass girl and I think you're really pretty. and she answered with, "Oh my God, thanks." Then I quickly blurted out, "And I really like you and I was wondering if you would want to go out." She then answers with, I'm actually talking to someone right now, but thanks for the offer." And I remember feeling a huge weight off my shoulders, and then listening to a song called Not the One by Lil Peep. Yes, rejection hurts, but if I wouldn't have told her how I felt, I'd probably regret it even more than the cringy proposal, which is more proof that I should become more comfortable with being uncomfortable. Things that are uncomfortable are so much more rewarding when you've overcome the hump of uncomfortability. That's probably not even a word, but we're going with it. Um, Let me see. Talk about other name. Oh, I'm sorry. I got a small list of topics that I have here, and one says to talk about the other name that I thought of for this podcast, which was documentation of my downfall. Because this podcast is going to mostly be me ranting on about my life and my daily struggles. But that felt too bleak, and in reality, I'm hoping for improvement. And I have been improving. I used to think that I couldn't get out of my old job that depressed me more than any job I've ever had before. But I met someone that told me ways to improve my thinking, and they worked. I made a plan, followed through with them, and got a new job. The problem being that I'm a depressed individual that has no self-confidence in themselves, so I aim too low when looking for a new job. So instead of making a huge improvement, I essentially repeated the cycle. By repeating the cycle, I mean that I went from being unhappy at one job to moving to a new environment and being unhappy at a new job. But instead of getting stuck at this new depressing job, I'm applying to new things that I know are quote unquote out of my league. Because I want to learn new skills and not just go for something that I'm comfortable with. I think that I've been looking for stability, but in reality, stability is miserable. I can stay stuck at this job I'm at and be stable. It's not a horrible job to have. It has great benefits and it pays relatively well. But I've already become comfortable, and I've asked my coworkers how they like the job, and not even almost all of them, but literally all of them have answered me with, "I don't exactly like the job, but what else am I going to do?" Or, "It pays the bills, so who really cares?" And I don't want that for my future. It's fine if you're okay with that, but I personally cannot accept that for myself. The thought of stability is fun to think about, but you soon realize that stability means that there's no variation. You're on a straight path to nowhere. So I'm here to get uncomfortable. Restarting a podcast that I made in high school. It's funny because I remember so vividly when I was recording those podcasts. I felt so free at the time because I was skipping school and roaming the streets alone. And I don't know, I think in a way I'm also keeping the name because I'd like to recapture that freedom that I had in those 30-minute to 1 hour rants. I'm not even sure if anybody watched them. I'd just post them on YouTube, get my 13 views, and be happy with that. But life was a lot simpler back then. I think I've always had this weird overthinking depression, and it's such a gnarly mix to have. Because it's just a cycle of emotions. I overthink, which makes me depressed. And when I get depressed, I start to overthink even more. I have anxiety, but I don't mention it because it all stems from my depression and overthinking. So it just comes with the package. But I need to stop overthinking. The problem is that I'm not aware when my overthinking starts. I've recently been able to stop myself once I'm in the middle of the shitstorm called overthinking. But I'd like to learn a better way to stop it before it starts. Because it's so mentally draining to have all these thoughts that in the end lead to nothing but anxiety. And it doesn't even take much for me to start. It could be something as simple as a misunderstanding that I start making assumptions about. And in the end, I hurt myself way more than anyone else ever has. But I'm improving. And at this point, that's all that really matters. Okay, I have no more topics to talk about. This was kind of all I had for the first episode, so I think I'm just gonna continue talking, see how unnatural or natural it sounds. I guess I could continue talking about my overthinking. It's so weird because you feel so hopeless when you're overthinking. You feel like the thoughts that you're having are so real. It's like you get a tunnel vision, and within that tunnel is only bad thoughts. And I know it's like I'm not the only one who's going through this because I've talked to, I've started talking to more people, cousins, reaching out to friends. And I think that's when you learn that, like, the reason nobody really cares is because everyone's going through their own shit. Which is, it's not a surprise, of course. It's not like, oh, I didn't know that everybody was going through shit. But you realize, like, the reason it's so hard for you to reach out to someone like a family member is because that family member probably has their own problems that they're going through. And I don't know, I think it's beautiful when you start talking to family, especially family. Like, I talk to my cousins a lot and we talk about our struggles, and it's so nice. Like, they're younger than me, but it's like, I don't know. I think the crazy thing is that they're younger than me, but for some reason they're thinking like me, which is maybe like a sign of the times. Like, maybe maybe the kids nowadays are maturing emotionally quicker than before because of, like, cell phones and stuff like that. Or maybe they're just maturing more because there's more information, like, more information to consume at one point. They're learning how fucked up the world is too quick. You know what I mean? When I was a kid, I was oblivious to how fucked up everything was. I would just go back and forth from my mom's to my dad's house, and I didn't even know what a divorce was, honestly. I was just like, this is a normal thing that everybody does. And then sometimes I would see, like, parents pick up their kids, like a mom and dad pick up their kids, and I'd be like, haha, that's a little strange. They're weird. And then, like, I think when I was 10 is when I first realized, like, oh wait, that's like the normal thing to do. The normal thing to do is have two parents parents at home. I, I don't know. I don't. As far as divorce goes, I think I was too young to even know what really happened because I think my parents got divorced when I was like 1 years old, 1 year old, one or I was I was younger than 5. I was 1 to 4 years old, somewhere within there, and I don't know. I guess it doesn't bother me as much because it's just something I've lived with. It's just something I've lived with since I remember, you know? Like like I don't remember seeing my parents together, if that makes any sense. I mean, I look at pictures of them together and I don't know, it almost seems weird when I see it. I'm almost like, ew. It's so wrong to say, but I'm like, this is so unusual to see, you know? Like, I don't mean this in a bad way at all. Like, I don't know. I don't want to go deeper into that because it really doesn't matter. I don't want to go deeper into that because it really doesn't matter. My parents are happily divorced right now. They have been for, I don't know, past 19 to 20 years. I'm 22 years old, so somewhere around that. And that's all that matters in the end. All that matters is that you strive to become a happier person. Because, in all honesty, I've barely started my journey to become a happier person this year. Because, I guess before that, I was just so comfortable with being depressed. Uh, I was just so familiar with being depressed, I guess. Familiar is a better word than comfortable. Just because it was something that like I think I think I was telling myself I'm depressed and there's no other way to live life, I guess is what in some type of fucked up way that's how I was thinking, like I'm depressed and it's not going to change, but who cares? And in reality, it doesn't have to be like that. You know, you can switch up your internal dialogue and not have it point towards nothing but negative things, you know? I think it's hard though. I think it's hard to switch to a happy mentality because I think like the first couple of weeks where I was like switching over to becoming a happier person, I was doing a thing where I was like, I was just being happy the whole time. And it was like something bad would happen and I'd try to look at the positive side. And in the end, that's like so draining. It's so draining to try to be happy like at all times. So I think the instability of emotions is what makes happiness worth it in the end. You have to feel depressed so that you can feel happy. Because if you're just happy all the time, then you're not going to be happy because you're just at the top the whole time. I don't know if this makes any sense actually, but that's how it felt. Like I felt like I was just forcing the happiness. Maybe that's what it was. I was forcing my happiness a little too hard, like And I was like spreading the positivity with my cousins and being like, man, I'm happy as hell right now. And I mean, I was. I'm not gonna lie, I was. But then, like, I remember at the end of the day, I would just feel like so mentally drained. And it just felt miserable. So I think I don't even know if it's depression, but there's this underlying sadness that's within me that, like, even when I'm with people I love and care for, it's still like sitting there. So I call it depression. I don't know if I could be like super happy and then in the back of my brain it'll be like, oh, but sadness will soon come. And it's like, I know it doesn't have to be like that, but it kind of does in a weird way because I think in the end, the only real emotional balance you have is like an unbalanced emotion. The only, I don't even know, honestly. It's a crazy concept, I guess. It's difficult to talk about. It's not difficult to talk about, but I think it's difficult to try to understand it because I don't know. I've I've lived a life where I've just looked at everything negatively. But then looking at everything positively gets draining too, which is why I say that you need that emotional unbalance. Like you can't stay on one level the whole time because in the end it's just you're lying to yourself. You know what I mean? And I think lying to yourself is what makes these emotions the most draining. I think like lying to yourself when something bad is happening and lying to yourself by saying, "Oh, it's okay." I think I think it's not a good way to look at it. I think when something bad is happening, you got to be like, "Okay, this is a bad thing that's happening, but we will soon be through with it. This won't be something that is gonna affect me for a long time. I'll get over this. I'll get over this mental hump or spiritual, physical, whatever the bad thing is." And I think when you're having like a good time, you have to realize that you're lucky that you're having a good time. Don't lie to yourself and say, "Oh, this good time is gonna last forever." I don't think you should say something like, "Oh, this good time's gonna not last forever," either. You know what I mean? But I think I like being realistic. I think I don't like lying to myself. But I think my I think when I'm being realistic, it's it's hard to tell what's actually real because I don't know if what I'm considering realistic is just something that I'm overthinking about, if that makes any sense. Like something realistic could be oh, something bad's about to happen in 4 minutes. And of course, it's like, that's not actually gonna happen. It's just something that I'm overthinking about. Uh, I don't know. It's hard to explain. I think it's just I'm I'm also barely figuring out like how my brain really works. And it's just a shit show up there, honestly. It's like I'm I'm very I'm just weird, I think. And I've had a friend tell me that I'm not weird because in the end you find out that other people have the same problems as me. But I think in reality the people that person's talking about is the people that person is talking about are weird too. And I don't think when I say weird, I don't mean it in a bad way. I think people see weird as a bad thing, but I don't know. I see weird as like unique. And I'm not trying to, suck my own dick here. I'm not like, "Oh, I'm unique." I'm just saying this this these emotions I have are it just makes no sense, honestly. I can attach myself to someone who will have no feelings towards me, and then I'll treat them like a like if they're a piece of gold or a diamond, and in the end they'll treat me like crap, but it wouldn't even matter to me because they treat me nice like every once in a while. And in reality, that's all that matters to me, I guess. Those 2 seconds of that person being nice is enough for me to stay stuck to that same person. Which is fucked up. I know it's fucked up, but it's it's just how I work. I don't know why. It's just like I think it also has to do with familiarity, like something that's familiar. Cause I had a very abusive ex-girlfriend. Like she would just I don't know. I think at one point I just felt like it wasn't even me only loving her. It was almost just like she fucking hated me for no reason. There is so much hate in her heart for no real reason. And then she cheated on me, which I was like, I don't know. I don't even think I cared that she cheated, honestly. I didn't care that she cheated, but I think the fact that she cheated was just the cherry on top for me. Because I remember we were at a restaurant and we were talking, and then she was like, "Oh, um, by the way, I cheated on you with this guy." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And then she was like, "What?" And then I stood up and I walked out of the restaurant. Well, I started walking out of the restaurant. And I think I had tears going down my face. I don't know. I didn't really I don't I think I have a bad like I think when it comes to communicating to people, I'm not the greatest at, like, you know, on the spot responses. So in that moment, I really didn't know what to say to her, but I knew what, like, I was thinking. I knew that I was thinking, like, fuck you. Fuck you for fuck you for treating me like shit and then thinking I'll stay with you after you cheated on me. You know what I mean? Like, you put me through this whole emotional boot camp and then you want me to like just brush this off, I guess. And I didn't. So I started walking out, and her being the drama queen she was, she started talking smack instantly. And of course, she let the whole restaurant know that she was talking smack because she was screaming. But I didn't care. I just kept walking, walking and walking. Then I finally exited out. She probably had to pay for the food, honestly. I I don't even remember. We didn't eat because we were barely like ordering our food, and I'm guessing I don't know. Maybe she walked out later. She didn't follow me that far, so because she was just talking her smack from the table. I didn't want her to follow me either. I think um I think that was just the final sign that I should learn to respect myself. But in the end, I repeated the cycle. I don't respect myself at all. And I think to learn how to respect yourself, you have to love yourself. And I'm not gonna lie, I don't exactly love myself because I'm I'm my biggest enemy. I'm the only one who notices my biggest flaws. And I mean, it's it's annoying because it's like sometimes I'll just talk so much smack about myself that, like, even if it's not true, it'll, like, I'll start to believe it. You know what I mean? Like, I think one thing I've recently found out was I've always told myself that I'm stupid, or um I don't even know if I can say that word, the R word. And in reality, I don't think I'm the R word or stupid. But I think I've said it for so long that, like, I started to believe it, you know what I mean? Like, and it's kind of true. Like, you say something so much and then it's gonna happen. You know what I mean? You can speak your words are very powerful, and but of course words don't mean much in the world. Your words are powerful, but at the same time, your words mean nothing. And I think that's just based on context. I think your words mean nothing when, like, it comes to telling people that you love them. Some people, you tell them that you love them, it means nothing to them. You know what I mean? You say, I love you, and I care about you, and I wouldn't want to hurt you at all. I don't want to see you hurt at all. And to them, that's just like words. And then in your head, you're like, oh, but it's not just words. Like, I mean this from the bottom of my heart. And I think that's when it gets so weird because it's like, you have to differentiate because, like, your words are powerful within your life, within your life. Your words can, your words can make changes within your life. And of course, your words can also impact somebody else, which is why it's like it's it's also very confusing because it we're just all different people and we're all going to interpret what you say differently. And you can't change the way somebody interprets something. Because you can tell somebody, I love you and I care for you and I never want to hurt you. And then they'll take that and say, "Oh my gosh, this person loves me and cares for me and doesn't want to see me get hurt. I'm gonna love them back." But then there's also like the one I said, who are like, this person says they love me, they say they care about me, and they say they don't want to see me get hurt. But I don't believe it. And then there's also another one that's like, this person says they love me. They say they don't want to see me get hurt. They say they care for me. I should probably stay away from them because they seem a little creepy. And I guess there's a list of like different ways people can interpret that. And I don't know, it's hard to tell which ways certain people are going to interpret what you say. And I guess I have the same problem as well with my overthinking because sometimes, like, somebody will say a joke to me or I don't know, say something that like sounds super mean, but in the end it's like lighthearted. It's meant to be lighthearted. And then like I'll start overthinking it because I'll interpret it as a bad thing. Because it's almost like it's just weird because like somebody else, like if you say a unique roast to me, I won't get hurt. Like I'll find it funny and start laughing. But when it's like something that's kind of like almost genuinely mean, I'll I'll start to I'll start to think about it just because it's something that I've probably told myself before. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. I don't want to give an example because I'm not trying to call anybody out. But it's nothing to. No, my family, we roast each other and stuff like that. But it's funny when we roast each other because they're like unique roasts. You know what I mean? They're not set out to hurt anybody. But then there's like, I have friends who are like, they'll say something and then I'll be like, damn, you really feel that way? It's not like I know that in the end they don't feel that way. They don't feel that way about me. They don't think about me that way. Or maybe they slightly do because you know what they say about jokes is that there's a little hidden truth behind every joke. But I don't know. To me, it's just when you happen to say something that I've told myself, I'm just like, That just fucking confirmed it. Oh man, I don't know. It's hard. It's hard to. I think. I think that's another problem. I guess is that maybe you shouldn't interpret what people are trying to say. Maybe there's no answer. There's no answer to what they meant. I don't know. I think that's. I think I'm done. Well, I'd like to thank you for sticking around for the first episode of the Nowhere Near Home podcast. I hope you all enjoyed, and I hope to be posting these often. So favorite the podcast, and you can find me on Instagram for updates at Nowhere Near Home Pod. That's Nowhere Near Home Pod. Goodbye.